Hello and welcome back to Let's Play Wrath of the Righteous with me, Bring It On. Let's go knock out Greybor's quest.
Do not fear! Do not waver!
Cover me, alright?
I was about to buff up for this fight. Here comes the fodder. Go and feast, but then clean up after yourself so the guards don't find the bones.
Stab yours actually. Distract them from me. Time to share your treasures. Cover me, alright?
Into the fray!
Simply
Tactical
business.
retreat. No.
We do it my way.
Alright, we found the Defiler. This +4 Unholy Heavy Mace increases the amount of damage channel negative energy does to living creatures, or heals undead creatures by 2d6.
Take a look.
This is my kind of work.
Alright, so this is our destination. The House of Wicked Knowledge. I think we'll check up first. We already did this puzzle, right? Yeah. Oh, here's that other node we're looking for.
Pretty good, aren't I?
I'm off.
I'm here.
My
Where else would I
will
be?
is resolute.
Weapons, spells, poisons.
I will lend you
the
my
art of
aid.
killing is so diverse these days. A shame one life is not enough to master them all.
Who? Me?
Let's also quick save and make sure we actually succeed the check.
Sorry.
Yeah,
did-
I'm gonna reload that one. It's the first one we had to reload, but I'm still gonna do it. I try to be honest, but you miss out on a decent amount of content if you fail these checks.
I'm all done here.
Now, the symbols inscribed on the wall belong to the language of the Titans, the first creations of the gods, and themselves the creators of the sinister Demodans.
Don't hold back!
Be gone, fiend!
Into the fray!
You run!
I'm done with you!
This will hurt! Don't hold back!
The light take you!
Simply business.
The inheritance guides my blade!
Alright, if they're done, we got the Thanatotic Titan's True Rune. A mysterious rune inscribed in the language of the Thanatotic Titans, which exudes a powerful and unnerving aura. Whatever magic had laid dormant in the rune has awoken, leaving no doubt that this ancient object is some kind of enchanted device. So knock that out after we do Greybor's quest. The lock is familiar. These locks are used by monster traders from Katapesh, who want to ensure the most powerful beasts stay in their cages. It can't be forced, but one delicate twist of a knife, and done. A hunt is a clash between the hunter's cunning and the shrewdness of the prey. When the prey expects a trap, the hunter's acumen is put to the test in trying to subvert such expectations. Willodus has proven he understands this fundamental principle. The commander bursts through the front door and freezes. For all the tall tales about the mansion supposedly becoming a citadel, no one is there to assault the unwanted guests. There are no flying arrows, no chilling battle cries, and the expensive furniture hasn't been turned into makeshift barricades. The commander and his companions carefully examine the luxurious antechamber. There are 2 doors leading deeper into the mansion. One bears the symbol of a mirror, and the other a symbol of a knife. There's a bloody pigeon feather in front of the doors, and a note that contains 2 words: "Welcome, assassin." The commander recalls that the bloody feather is a symbol of Shax, the Blood Marquis. This demon lord is infamous for luring his victims into labyrinths full of deadly traps. The door slams shut loudly behind him. The commander opens the door with the crooked knife symbol. They say that pets reflect the character and disposition of their owners. If this is true, then the lord of the mansion has a truly cruel and perverse disposition. The commander enters a spacious cellar filled with scattered bones and cages. All of them are wide open, and the creatures they once contained are freely roaming the room. They've all come from different planes. Some are monsters, some are mere animals, some are intelligent species. Yet all of them shamble around aimlessly. They pant loudly, and drool drips from their slack jaws and open mouths. Their horribly mutilated and scarred heads provide evidence as to the reason for this behavior. A merciless surgeon has opened their skulls and taken out most of their brains, leaving only the bits that govern the most base instincts, such as hunger. And these creatures are very hungry indeed. The commander decides to scare away the monsters. Donald bursts out of the shadows with a spectacular leap and lands in the center of the room, where he draws his weapon and quickly puts several of the closest monsters out of their misery. He produces such a wild and bloodthirsty howl that even these mindless wretches are shaken to their core. Squealing pathetically, they hurry back to their cages, huddling in fear. The way is now free. 3 doors lead from this dark cellar, and its oppressive stink of blood and decay. The commander decisively reaches out for the one marked with the symbol of a pair of scales. Let's go into a mirror. Stepping through the doorway, the commander suddenly feels nauseous, and an icy chill runs across his skin. His intuition screams that he has just passed through an interplanar portal, and he instantly loses all sense of direction and balance. It seems the rooms of this mansion occupy different layers of reality, and these portals unite them into an elaborate labyrinth, where a single wrong turn is enough to lose one's way entirely. Greed and arrogance are traits inherent to almost all demons, and the lord of the mansion seems eager to prove himself without equal in the indulgence of both these vices. The door leads into a magnificent sitting room. It hasn't been furnished in a manner indicative of tasteful refinement. The lamp reflections sparkle on the gilded furniture. The floor is covered in elaborate mosaics. The shelves are full of expensive trinkets. As if all this luxury wasn't enough, the whole room is reflected back again in the giant mirror that covers the entire ceiling. As soon as the commander enters, the mirror surface ripples, starting to bubble, bulge, and ooze like molasses. It sends its sticky tendrils toward the outsiders, and a single touch from those appendages pierces the flesh with a sepulchral chill. The commander attempts to break the mirror with a powerful blow. With a furious cry, Donald strikes the mirror with all his might, and the surface shatters with a deafening clang. The shards fall down in a glittering waterfall, smashing into tiny fragments on impact. By right, the trophies from a battlefield belong to the victor. The commander invokes that right, and fills his purse with a considerable number of gold trinkets that any merchant would gladly barter for more useful items. There are 3 doors that lead out from the room occupied by the strange carnivorous mirror. The commander decides to open the one bearing the symbol of. So items received: 10 golden chains, 10 golden chains with diamonds, 10 golden earrings, 10 gilded horns, 10 golden medallions, and 10 ruby rings. Let's do a tooth-filled maul. Everyone makes mistakes. The difference between an amateur and an expert is simply that the expert knows how to hide those mistakes in some deep, dark hole. It seems the commander has found the place where the lord of this mansion hides his mistakes. The walls of this room are splattered with blood up to the ceiling, and the floor is shaped like a funnel. There's a stand for steel poles with bloody hooks at their ends. Gravediggers use such tools to drag dead plague victims onto their corpse carts. With a sudden click, the stone floor turns to ice, causing the commander to slip and slide down toward the giant gap in the center of the room, where it is now possible to discern a maw. It is a giant round mouth with hundreds of long, sharp teeth, a massive throat, and the staggeringly foul odor of hundreds and hundreds of decaying corpses. This maw is a gigantic corpse eater, which gorges itself on the results of failed and unsuccessful experiments. The commander tries to restrain the monster by wedging a steel pole between its jaws. Donald grabs a metal pole with a hook that must have been used to drag corpses, and rushes forward to wedge it between the monster's jaws, keeping its mouth open. The monster wheezes, trying with all its might to shut its jaws, but its thrashing only makes the steel sink deeper into its slimy flesh. Eventually, the monster will snap the pole in half, but at least this daring feat allows Donald some precious time to escape the room. Slowly but surely, digging his heels into the slippery surface of the ice, the commander manages to escape the monster's maw and climb up a safe distance toward the wall. The pole creaks and bends in the horrible jaws, and the commander quickly retreats from the room. 3 doors with different symbols lead from the monster's lair. Upon reflection, the commander decides to open the one bearing the symbol of a pair of scales. No matter how gleefully the lord of this palace mutilates flesh, he is first and foremost a scientist. And a scientist, by definition, is a madman who can put to shame any giggling maniac with a knife. Therefore, it comes as no surprise that his laboratory is furnished with care and order, and there's no hint of the tawdry luxury found in the other rooms. There's a multitude of flasks and vials with potions resting on the tables, and the cupboards are full of jars containing brains of all shapes and colors. As soon as the door closes behind the commander's back, a huge silvery autoclave opens with a wheezing clang, emitting a wave of foul-smelling brine. A hideous homunculus covered in glistening slime crawls out of the autoclave. Its liquid, malleable body constantly grows new limbs, eyes, and mouths, absorbing the bits and pieces it no longer requires. It seems the monster can't decide what shape it should take. It stares at the commander with malevolent intelligence. It seems he has better mental faculties than most alchemically produced creatures. The homunculus giggles repulsively as it grabs a vial full of acid and aims it at the commander's head. The commander decides to scare off the malevolent monster. If I'm trying to optimize the amount of experience I get, I would take one of the 228 checks versus the 27. But I'm roleplaying. Donald takes a deep breath and produces a frightening roar. The homunculus wails in 3 different voices and flees rapidly. Its multitude of thin little legs melt to produce 2 stout, muscular ones, before turning into the flexible tail of a snake. The homunculus finds a narrow hole and crawls inside. It continues to whisper as it peers out with its saucer-like eyes. Stepping over the wreckage of expensive lab equipment and shattered glass, the commander pauses before the 3 doors and eventually chooses the one with the symbol of... I'm not sure what happens. I'm guessing you just take damage if you fail that check and you take the acid to the face. But like the giant maw, I'm wondering if that's a game over. There are... I think there's one game over sequence. Might be thinking of Kingmaker. But there's a book event where I think you can get a game over. Rogue Trader also had a couple dialogue options that led to a game over. Let's do a full moon. The commander enters a magnificent bedroom and ends up knee-deep in a seemingly bottomless pile of soft blankets, fuzzy rugs, plump feather beds, and other covers of all sorts and shapes. They allure and promise the sweetest dreams, if only Donald would lie down and close his eyes. It's a dangerous temptation. Anyone who allows these fluffy killers to put them to sleep won't wake up ever again. They will crawl over their victim, piling up around them, and then suffocate and smother them to death. Carving through a feather bed with his blade, the commander sees glistening flesh and a thick ichor oozing out from the rent in the fabric. Yet no book has ever mentioned such strange, bizarre creatures. The commander can only guess that this is the result of a strange experiment on some predatory swarm organism that disguises itself as something harmless, and then preys on those it lures close. The commander decides that the best decision would be to carve a path through the room using his blade. A blade makes short work of the stubborn fabric, revealing muscles and sinew hidden underneath. Donald clumsily but desperately hacks at the encroaching mass, like a butcher carving up a carcass. He fights his way through the sea of shuddering flesh toward the exit. 2 doors with different symbols lead from the master bedroom. The commander decides that he would rather take his chances behind the one with a boiling cauldron. The commander walks into an enormous kitchen. There are massive cauldrons with shiny, polished sides, and a tiny green flame flickers within a magical oven. The aroma of delicious spices beckons from the countless cupboards and shelves that line the walls. However, as soon as the commander enters the room, the cauldron's lids fly up into the air, blown off in powerful explosions. A nasty grayish-pink slime oozes out of the open cauldrons, swelling up like dough. The slime flows down onto the floor, gathering up into massive clotted clusters, which then begin to crawl toward the commander. Donald has never seen or read about such creatures before. It is reasonable to suggest that this was the outcome of a complicated and perverted magical experiment. This carnivorous slime was captured in a cave, subjected to magical transformation, and fed entirely with brain tissue. The commander, searches the kitchen for a poisonous concoction to use against the carnivorous slime. Avoiding the slime's attacks, Donald rummages in the drawers until he finds what he is looking for: a few copper flasks filled with caustic salt. He jumps on the table and generously spills the salt around himself. The moment a single grain of salt lands on the slimy monster, the creature begins to bubble, darken, and shrivel. In a matter of moments, all that remains of the creature is a glistening, oily film on the floor. After meticulously examining the food on the undisturbed shelves, the commander decides to rest. He takes the opportunity to recuperate and bandage his wounds. It is thinking ahead, rather than rushing forward recklessly, that separates able tacticians from those who rashly press on and perish. Hey now. 2 doors lead from this kitchen, where it is apparently easier to be eaten than to eat. The commander chooses the one that is marked with the symbol of a blazing fire. The commander finds himself in a long stone passage. No traps are triggered by his careful steps, yet at the end of the passage, his vision grows blurry. The illusion of safety falls apart like a house of cards, revealing an endless fiery field, ashen mountains, rivers of lava, and magmatic volcanoes. Hot wind scorches his face. It is not difficult to conclude that this deadly place is the elemental plane of fire. Ash and volcanic rock tremble beneath the commander's feet, but walking on it seems safe enough for now. The only escape route is the distant 3-way arch of rough-hewn stone, containing the 3 familiar doors. However, in order to reach it, the commander must find a way past the river of fire, in which tiny islets of porous stone are just barely visible. The river spews out tongues of roaring flame that land on the banks, and crystallize into dark glass. As a result, both banks of the river have become steep, jagged cliffs of obsidian. The commander has nothing left to do but to walk along the bank looking for a ford, guided by his knowledge of interplanar travel. I don't know if that should be lore religion, but whatever. Donald remembers a few tales of travelers who have survived the plane of fire and decides to venture forth along the fiery river's bank. The trek is long and dangerous, but after a couple of hours, he finally finds what he has been looking for: a strip of hardened black glass arching across a stream of lava like a volcanic bridge. Donald carefully makes his way to the other side, using the makeshift bridge, and climbs up to the stone arches. After reaching the stone portals, the commander has to decide which of the 3 doorways to enter. Eventually, he settles on the one with the symbol of a rod. The door doesn't budge. The commander forces it open with his weight, and enters the same hall where this dangerous expedition first began. The cozy, comfortable setting in no way hints at the nightmares that awaited the commander inside the mansion. The door outside is wide open, and through the doorway, dark figures can be seen clutching weapons. All of this was nothing but a warm-up. The final decisive battle was still to come. The commander prepares for a fight as he steps outside the accursed mansion. The leader of this gang of demons is grotesquely disfigured, even by the standards of the Abyss. A disproportionately large and bloated head rests on a tiny, disformed body, covered in bumps and furrows, like a shriveled walnut. What seems at first to be a mane of hair standing up on end, is revealed upon closer inspection to be bone needles sticking out from his pale, blistered skin. Where the mouth should be, there's instead a bony plate, formed from yellowing teeth that have grown together. It protrudes out from his torn, lacerated lips. His voice appears to come from a slobbering, undulating hole in his neck, just beneath his chin. More bloody larvae show up at my palace. I'm getting very tired of these visits. What a freak. Even I feel somewhat conflicted. Would killing this creature be an act of cruelty or mercy? I do not wish to show mercy to the scum that set me up. Who are you? A snort of derision escapes from the creature's throat, and he makes a dismissive gesture with his hand, his dirty nails curling into long, thin spirals. You don't even know who you've decided to challenge. But these words herald your imminent death, outsider. I am Willodus, the wizard confidant and advisor to the Lady in Shadow. I'm also known as the Vivisector. Greybor smirks, not bothering to hide his contempt. So many words. I'll simply call you a corpse. Less impressive sounding, perhaps, but easy to remember. Why did you turn your house into a trap? I was expecting assassins, and therefore I prepared a warm welcome for such guests. I trust that you appreciated my vivarium. When I am finished with you, you'll become a new decoration for my palace, and another test for those who follow you. You will be mine. Some of you will be mindless pets, and the more attractive ones, I may use you to meet other needs. The monstrosity giggles lecherously, and the sound is shrill and repulsive, like metal against glass. Did you create the monsters I found in the mansion? The demon cackles with glee and replies scornfully. You call them monsters, silly boy. What can you possibly know about it? Those are masterpieces of vivisection. Impossible creations conceived not by nature, but born of my scalpel, needle, and magic. So who do you think wants you dead? My enemies are many and dangerous, and I could spend an eternity guessing. But there's no need for that. Once I've killed you, I'll soak your warm little brains in my concoctions, and read the names of my enemies like tea leaves in their wrinkled patterns. And then I'll have a lovely dinner. There's a greedy, predatory gleam in those tiny eyes, buried deep within the folds of wrinkled flesh. Why did you put a hit out on Darazan and give Greybor a faulty magical weapon? The demon hisses in frustration, spittle flying from the hole in his neck. Nonsense. Why would I want that idiot dead? What possessed him to think I'm the one who put a hit out on him? And how dare you, pathetic amateurs, even think that a scheme of mine might possibly fail? If I truly wanted to kill Darazan, he'd be long gone. But no, I don't give a darn about anyone from that swarm of locusts. I expected such an answer. For some reason, whenever I corner these scoundrels and demand a reckoning, none of them are brave enough to own up to their crimes, and they never go quietly when I slit their throat. What do you think, Greybor? The dwarf shrugs and says thoughtfully, Usually I'm quite capable of detecting lies, but this ugly wretch is impossible to read. And why does it matter anyway? Even if he's not lying, we do well to get rid of him. He just tried to kill us in his mansion. Well, I mean, we did trespass. Besides, we ever sleep well knowing this monstrosity is alive somewhere? Your words reek of deceit. The demon's cloudy eyes flare with anger, and his smug giggles give way to a low, menacing growl. Soon we shall find out what your tiny, ridiculous, worm-eaten brain smells like. Kill him. The dwarf grins ominously, and as he looks at the demon, there is no mercy in his eyes. I won't lie. I've been waiting for this moment. Tomorrow morning, my reputation will be spotless once again. Sweet dreams.
Is quick.
Not sure that's how reputation actually works, but sure.
It's your time to cease to exist.
Into the fray! The light seeks you!
You're in my way.
The projection is that of a tall female demon. Unlike many of her kind, she seems slimmer and less stocky in build. Upon closer examination, you realize that her thinness is caused by extreme emaciation, which makes her look like a withered tree. The skin on her neck and wrists bear the marks of shackles, and her body is covered with flaming seals of Baphomet. Lowering her eyes, the demon addresses you quietly. Allow me to congratulate you. The short work you've made of Willodus proves you're a true professional. I'm Horzala, and on behalf of the Assassin's Guild, I congratulate Greybor on completing this contract. You have fulfilled the order we received for Willodus' murder, and therefore you have the right to collect the bounty, even though you're not a guild member yourself. I'm sure you also have many questions about what happened. I doubt our guild is hard to find. There's a notice board at its entrance, where the assassination contracts are posted. Who are you? I'm Horzala, Baphomet's daughter. The projection looks you in the eye, and adds in an aggrieved whisper. Horzala, not Hepsamira. She is my elder sister, but I doubt you're able to appreciate the true extent of my misfortune. I'm also known in Alushanira as the assistant and right hand of Yaz, the head of the Assassin's Guild. Do you know what happened here? I might know a thing or two, but we should discuss these matters inside the guild, not in public. Who's going to overhear us? The corpses? Why don't you come here and speak to us face to face, instead of projecting an illusion? Or are you afraid we won't like your answers? We'll make you join Willodus. At the sight of the demon's sour expression, Greybor gives an aggressive snort. So, I want to say option 3, but I also don't want to cut Greybor's quest short. And I'm not sure if that's going to actually end the quest or not. So we'll pay a visit to the Assassin's Guild soon. Thank you for your answer. The bounty awaits you. I'm not sure what reward awaits us, but I truly hope it's a considerable sum of gold, not a meager payment served up at the end of a blade. Well, you can never be too careful. Alright, get our loot. Alright, so we got Windfall and Wind Breath. A Wind Breath, this amulet grants a +4 morale bonus to the wearer's initiative checks. And with this, make that +8. And Windfall, this belt grants its wearer a +1 luck bonus on attack rolls and all saving throws. So my first playthrough, it took me a little while to find the Assassin's Guild. We've seen it before, and I've actually pointed it out previously. Oh, looks like we have a fight. Alushanira is a demon city. Get back to your own planes, outsiders. Arg, you reek of that holier-than-thou goodness. Disgusting.
We do it my way.
Don't mind me.
Time to work.
Cover me, all right?
That's it. You've done it now. Rip the outsider a new one. Not Tickly will never know.
Fall!
Stab you or zap you? Why not both?
Alright, we got the Rumbling Falcon. This +5 Thundering Falcon grants its wearer a +5 competence bonus to CMB. Whenever the wielder of this falcon succeeds its Thunder Armor maneuver, You get a +1 circumstance bonus to armor class for 1 round. In addition, whenever the wielder attempts a cleave action, they don't get the regular -2 penalty to armor class. Alright, there's the Assassin's Guild. No, I'm not sure. I don't think you can enter it before getting this quest. I know I checked earlier, but maybe I didn't wait long enough for the building to finish rising up. It doesn't matter. Either way, I'm going to call it here for now. Next time I'll continue with Greybor's quest, try and wrap that up. I will go back and get land instead of Greybor. We'll have to rebuff up. And we can finish the Thanatotic Titan Rune quest line. Because that's actually in this area too, that's back over behind the Aasimar's house back here. So, we've got a plan. But for now, thanks for watching, and hope to see you guys in the next one.